So today I'm really stoked because we're bringing on not one, not two, but three industry experts, coaches, digital entrepreneurs, and marketers who are alumni graduates of Empower. So what they're going to do is they're going to share their stories of who they are, what they do, what they've built, who they help, and really they're going to share their whole experience of just building their business and all of the roadblocks and pitfalls and challenges that come up with that and things that they've done to get over that hump. So today, first and foremost, we've got Miss Sophia Cleverly here. I'm so excited for you to be here. Do me a favor, Sophia, say hi to everyone and just let us know where you're from and what do you do? Who do you help? What's your business?
Hi, everybody. I am Sophia Cleverly. I am originally Greek and I've lived all around the world, and I live in the UK with my Gringlish children and my husband and my dog. And, and I was with Jess and the team in Empower in cohort 16.
Yeah.
And I help midlife women like myself navigate the changes of menopause and midlife and just basically dig themselves and have a great new chapter in their lives.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about what you do is that you help women in a pretty vulnerable season of their life. I would guess. I'm not there yet. Almost. I'm not there yet. But my guess is that it would be a vulnerable season. And I know that in coaching with you, I watched you even going through some of your own kind of questioning and mindset and posture around how much do I share vulnerably? And this is such a powerful question because so many people ask, even yesterday on our free coaching call, what do I have to share on the internet? How much of myself do I have to share? And here you are talking about hormones and menopause and all of these things that could feel really personal. So has that ever come up as something that was like a challenge for you? Has it been scary? And if so, how did you navigate around, you know what, I'm just going to put myself out there?
That's a really great question, Jess. So I guess it's a funny thing, right? So I'm so used to coaching with you that I'm already, all I can see, guys, is Jess and me. And then there's like thousands of you up there. So I'm very happy to lead from vulnerability. That is what I've decided and what I've chosen. That is how I've decided to lead. And I therefore make a choice in any room I go to be the first to bring in the real and not to just have the desired outcome and the desired vision. And I know that that's not everybody. So I guess in the aspect of who my clients are, they come with vulnerabilities that they want to create lasting change with. And, you know, that's why they come. In terms of an entrepreneur, I think it's very personal to everybody, but I would say that you're far more relatable when you share your story. And that is something that I learned in Empower, is that my story is my power and or part of it. And that you don't have to share your whole story and kind of go into some kind of nervous system, you know, a state of alert. You can share little nuggets of your story as you feel and are comfortable.
Yeah, I love that. One of my favorite posts that you did, it went viral, it went semi-viral, and I don't think that was your intention, but you had put up a post, it was a reel, and it was you dancing, which a lot of people in their midlife don't want to do, right? We think that in order to build a successful business, we have to do the dance and point thing from TikTok, and that's not true at all, nor is that what you did, but you were just dancing, like a somatic expression of moving your own energy. And you had some words on the screen and it wasn't some crazy editing and transition. It was a very easy thing to post and it ended up going basically viral, which was really cool. How do you think that affected your business? Did it at all? Do you think that it increased your followers and did those followers convert into clients?
So I came to Empower because I had spent, I think something like 5-6 years since 2018 on Instagram, and like basically sharing. And I came from helping kids and families and teens as an educator through mindfulness and working in schools and that space, and working with the moms, so working with midlife moms. So I came with this thing of how I want to make this a business. I've invested thousands in mentors and training, but I don't know how to use this powerful tool. So I don't get it. Like how, post and pray, when you said post and pray, I was like, that's me, that's me. So I never did social media to be viral. And I didn't get to 50 nearly on Saturday to want to be liked, like to be showing up just to be liked. So for me, it was like, how do I have more impact for more people? That incredible visualization that you did, that we've now done a few times together, is like, I'm not letting the people drown. So part of that, the way that I came to do that video was like, I love dancing. That is something that brings me immense joy. So through being vulnerable and authentic, I just literally put on a song that I liked and just really felt it and really showed up as myself and said some things that I wanted to say. And it really hit a chord and hit some kind of algorithm nerve. But I messaged you straight after, didn't I, to say, this is really crazy. This is crazy. And how that changed, it changed my confidence, because you said, see, they can feel it. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to do A, B, C, D. That's not it. It's almost like in coaching, you've got to feel it and believe it. It comes from in here. So when you break up all the limiting beliefs and empower, and every time you show up vulnerably and you're the first person to raise your hand, like I did, and cry, ugly cry with a bunch of people, that changes you fundamentally. Whew!
It does. It absolutely does. Can you tell everyone sort of what your business looks like right now? Like, what's your main offer? Do you still do? Because when you came into Empower, you had a couple one-on-one clients. Is that right?
Yeah, I had like 5 one-to-one clients that I was happy with. And I just come straight off the back of working with a startup and coaching 43 women, and like a big thing that I didn't have to generate myself. That was, that was really, really awesome. And I loved it. But then I was like, oh, I want that, but how do I generate it? So that was partly it. Also that I wanted to build a group coaching program and build the impact. So now I have built that group coaching program. We're now in and launched it, and there's 4 people in it, and we are in week 8. I've just done it. I've just come off the call, of week 8 out of 12 weeks.
That's amazing.
And yeah, it is really.
We're on week 8.
Yeah, we're on week 8.
Wait, hold on. How has it been creating it? Because for those listening, Sophia just graduated in Empower class 16. And so she just recently graduated. So how has it been, this whole concept that we teach of create it after you've sold it? Meaning we don't actually make all the videos and the PDFs and stuff until you've sold it. So now you have 4 people in this group program, which is incredible. And you're serving them while creating it. How does that feel? How have you kind of been navigating that?
So I would say there's 2 parts of that. The one is the organic part, well, borrowing the belief from you and the other people around me that I can make the program. And so basically in Empower, you're just given the steps and you follow it. It's still you creating it. It's not some kind of AI bot. You create your program, but you're given the steps and you're in a structure. So just as you're drinking water through a fire hose, I was really nervous about that because I also have dyslexia. And sometimes I am aware that my process is slower. I've got 3 kids, I've got a full life. I've got clients, and I was nervous about it, but I made a deal with myself. I'm going to finish, I'm going to launch, and I'm going to thrive. And I did that. And I launched it. Have I got your waterworks going? I've got a fizzy nose too.
A fizzy nose, that's what I'm going to call it now. Have I got your waterworks going? Yeah, you know me. Yeah, absolutely. You did. Yeah, because like you said, you have 3 kids, you have a job, you have a life, you have limiting beliefs, you have dyslexia, right? Neurodivergent, different ways of learning. There's all of these things that could be either excuses, challenges, barriers, or just roadblocks to hinder you from doing it. And I got fizzy nose, as you said, because you made a commitment to yourself. This is what's so important. Sophia made a commitment to herself a lot of times when we're investing in a coach or a program, we think that, yes, you're investing in the EOM, right? The EOM, the model that we teach, the empowered organic method, and you're investing in the coaches and all the things in the workbook, but you're not investing in me. You're actually investing in yourself, and you're making a commitment with yourself. And this is the thing that holds people back, because when you take your personal responsibility back, and you know that if I don't show up, the only person that I could really point fingers at is me. It has nothing to do with Jess or Team DBE or the workbook or the videos. And it's so much easier to point the finger outside, right? And go like, well, I have 3 kids. I'm busy. I've tried it before. I'm not sure this is the right program for me, but I love and adore you so much because you said, no, I made a commitment with myself that I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it. And I can tell everyone listening, Sophia raised your hand on every single call. And it's not just about raising your hand, because you don't build a successful business by just asking questions. You then have to take action. And that's what you've been doing week after week after week, taking action.
Yeah, and that does breed your confidence. And the second part of that is that I launched Empower, and at the time when I launched it, I basically extended my launch, because I said to you, and I said, I am not giving up until some person signs. I'm getting fizzy nose too just now. And I was like, what do I do? Do I close it? Do I start again? And I just kept going until basically I got the people and I could run my program in a way that I wanted to run it. And the course creation, so what Jess does, guys, is you got to go and buy yourselves loads of post-it notes now. I'm going to tell you, you're going to be like major investors and post it, whoever makes those, is you get a structure to start building your course. So you know what you're doing by the time you get there. You have your modules, they're all, the coaches are all there to, you don't need anyone's approval, but to just run their expert eyes over the structure of your program. So you go into it, and then week by week, you actually build the program. So you don't just sit back and you go, I've now got my program, yay, hooray for me, you gave me your money, it's created. You're actually making it as you go along. It's a lot of work. But it's what I wanted to do. So, it's great. It's amazing. It's like a party every week.
It's like a party every week. Soundbite, boom. I love that. How much of what you're creating is like identical to what we've done in Empower, and how much of it is really your own twist? Because I know a lot of people have that question too, where it's like, do I have to use Kajabi? Do I have to do it with X amount of calls like you do, right?
Okay. So you say, and I find this really helpful, don't judge somebody's chapter, what are you now, 19, with your chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, wherever you are, and just run your own race, stay in your lane. And that has really, really helped me to kind of build it in a way that is, is good for me and my clients. So I did start off of Kajabi. I have now gone onto Kajabi and I'm probably underusing it yet, but I'm like, that's the cost of doing business and doing it professionally like I want to do, because I don't want to have to go back and then do it twice and 3 times. Yeah. Because, we need systems, right, Jess?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You've really helped me understand, because I'm like, it's my dyslexic, as you said, my neurodivergent brain, also incredibly creative and like, with the visualizations and ideations, I'm like all of that, but like structure is setting me free.
Structure creates freedom. It really does. One of the gals that's in, systems are our love language at DBA. One of the girls that's in the Facebook group right now watching the live stream, she asked if you could just expand for a moment on sort of the mindset. I'm going to put a twist on this. I'm not sure if this is exactly what she meant, but what was the most challenging part of creating the program? And I'm going to do a little insert here. When it's so saturated. There's so many people doing programs out there for midlife women, for hormones, for menopause, for health and wellness in general. So what were some of the mindset shifts that maybe you had to have, or that you're still having, in order for you to actually show up and do the thing when there's so many people doing it already? Like, what's the point? Yeah, right. So I saw the other day as a kind of illustration of this, that Oprah is getting into the menopause
space and sharing her story, and Maria Shriver, and
She's such a follower. She's just following you, that Oprah.
obviously, because when I started this program, it was the only program for midlife women. So, she's jumped on board, and great. And that is fantastic for me. Like, I'm like, yes, Oprah's doing it, because that is massively validating for the person who can't afford Oprah, is massively daunted, and it wants to relate to a lady in England who's just going through the menopause now and has had to deal with all the issues that I talk about that I've had to deal with, kids, teenagers leaving home, being basically a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and then becoming a mompreneur and a solopreneur, and building a business, and all of these things. So the things that I talk about are not going to be the things that this lady who asked the question are. Every single one of us is unique. So that's something that I've really changed, is I trust myself. I've got my own story. My story is powerful. Somebody said the other day, problems are gifts wrapped in pain.
Yes, so, I think that was Brad. It was so good.
Yeah, problems are gifts wrapped in pain. Each one of our stories, comes from our purpose, comes from our pain as coaches. So like, why we are so unique. The way that you've solved your problems is part of your magic. Nobody has your magic.
I just love you. I could listen to you say magic all day with your accent. It just feels so Harry Potter-esque, Okay. It's crazy. We're going to be wrapping in a minute. This is like a quickie. I could talk to you all day, but what are some thoughts or words of wisdom that you would have for someone, quite frankly, who's on the fence about joining? Like, what's something you would say? What would you have said to yourself, however many months ago it was now, at that point when you were like uncertain about joining?
Okay, I'm getting emotional now, because taking myself back to that moment, I had done Empower twice. Empower, DBE. I did DBE twice. The first time I kind of did it. The second time I fully did it. And so many of you here have like gone full in. I am, really inspired by that. So I knew I wanted to. And I was basically shit scared about the money. Yeah, like, we've got teenagers, we've got, at the time we had debt. We had debt as a family. And I'm going to share it here because this is private, but whatever, keep it between you. But basically what I did is I sat there with my credit card, and I paid with Empower with all of my personal savings. Those were my savings that I had put to the side in case, I don't know, my husband leaves me, that kind of thing. He won't, he'd be crazy. So I stood there shaking like a leaf with this card going, oh, can I do this? And then I was like, I took a deep breath and I thought, I believe in myself. I know this is the right thing to do. My gut is telling me, yes, I am 49.75 years old. And my gut is telling me, yes, I have proof. I have proof from all the people, graduates like me, from you, that this method works. And I believe and trust these people. And I am worth it. And so now going back and looking at that person and giving her a hug, I was like, you did exactly the right thing, because you listened to what you wanted to do. And you went ahead and you did it. Bless you. At 49 years of age, it is not easy starting again. There are loads of midlife women here. So listen to me. Like you're worth it, and the program will see you through. The program 1000% delivers. Like, I wouldn't give that testimonial for Oxford University. I went to Oxford University. They didn't deliver on a lot of the things they promised.
Oh my gosh.
Program delivers it. You over deliver it. You just do. You every time. So like, trust your gut and make it happen. That's the other part of it, is like, trust your gut and make it happen. Like I knew I will take 2 seconds now. So basically, if this was something to do with my children, that they needed a diagnosis, as they needed a diagnosis or a pair of sneakers or a school trip or a tutor, all of those things, I would make that happen in a millisecond for them. I would. But for me, it was like, oh no, I can't possibly, or I couldn't take up the space or have that difficult conversation. So doing that was the most massive exercise in, I believe in myself. Yeah. And you've over delivered. So thanks. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I was not I should have known better. I don't have like a box with me. I should have had a box of tissues. I wasn't expecting that. I think for me, the part that just hits so hard, and I'm seeing in the chat box too, is this idea of like, you're worth it. Right. And I think especially your audience of these midlife women, I am not one yet, and I don't have children yet. But what I hear from a lot of, especially midlife women, is like, you pour all these years of focus and time and energy into your kids, and they become your world. And you get to this midlife point, as what you're coaching is, you kind of lose yourself sometimes, and you forget about like your own hobbies and interests and passion and purpose. And you come back to yourself, and it's kind of like, wow, what am I even doing? What am I even here for? And am I worth it? And you start to question that. So this idea of, again, betting on yourself, investing on yourself, trusting yourself, committing to yourself, and just knowing that you're worth it. And the fact that you would do anything for your kids. So why wouldn't you do anything for yourself, right? Put your oxygen mask on first. I adore you. I love you so much. Where can people find you? I've put it in the chat box twice with your Instagram handle for everybody, but where can people find you if they want to learn more about you and what you're doing?
So
if they want to work with you.
Find me on Instagram, thanks to Jess, Sophia Cleverly. Hey, you can find me at Sophia Cleverly. So SOPHIA Cleverly, CLEVERLY. And that's where I mainly hang out, is on Instagram.
I love it. We've got Andrew Oliver, who's another Empower graduate. He came in way before you, I think maybe class like 14 or something like that, maybe even 12. He's asking in the Facebook group, make sure you go answer him. He's had another Brit here, so he wants to know where you're from. So make sure you go answer him. Sophia, I love you. We'll make sure to drop that in the Facebook group again. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's certainly a powerful one for anyone who's in their midlife, anyone who's got children, anyone who feels like they're busy, anyone who is thinking about sharing something that's super vulnerable, and just how do you navigate that and go about that. And it's so cool to think that in just a couple of months, someone else can be in the 8th week of their program with their clients. And I'm just so stoked for them. So thank you so much for sharing. I love you.
Thank you so much. See ya.
Thanks for making me cry. All right. Oh, I know. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. Oh my goodness. I need a second here. I wasn't expecting that. So we're going to shift energies. We're going to shift gears. Not that you don't have the ability to make me cry, Hannah. You absolutely do.
You might make me cry.
You definitely bring a whole different story and element here. I'm really excited, crew, to bring you this next guest, one of our other alumni. This is the one and only Hannah Carroll, and she's going to share all about herself and her story in just a moment. So we just went from this midlife, I've got 3 kids and all of these things. And Hannah actually is quite different. When she came to Empower, I believe at the time you were single, not anymore, men, not anymore. We love Jackson, but I believe at the time you were single. You were recently laid off from your job, which is really fun to, not have an income and then invest in yourself. Right. And you're younger, right? And with that comes also reservations and hesitations of people wanting to get into the coaching industry when you are younger. It's kind of like, well, who's going to listen to me, and how much life experience do I have? Now, something I'm going to share real quick before you introduce yourself, something that I find really special about Hannah, not only everything that she does and the way she shows up in the world, but Hannah actually is the sister of Bridget Carroll. So Bridget is one of our millionaires. Bridget's not only built $1 million business now, she's built $2 million businesses, both in under 16 and a half months each, which is pretty incredible. So I had the chance to work with Bridget, and then I had the opportunity to work with Hannah. And so we keep it in the fam, and I'm just waiting to work with your brother now, really. But Hannah, you are also, for anyone listening, a digital nomad, which is like so freaking cool. And so you lived in not quite an RV like Mike and I, but an ambulance that you guys had converted. You were tooting around the country. You're hopping from state to state, doing all the things. I don't even know where. Are you in San Diego right now?
Yeah. And we actually have an apartment that we pay for now. So welcome.
Welcome to your apartment. Amazing. All right. Well, Hannah, my dear, tell everybody who you are, what you do, who you help, and let's get into it.
Yeah, I love it. And we'll get into the story more, but I'm Hannah. I'm a career mindset coach. So I help people get unstuck and into fulfilling careers. And I help people move through things like self-doubt, lack of confidence, fear, being a beginner, all of those things that a lot of us experience, especially myself, which is a little bit of my power. Maybe you have a story, if you're listening to this, that is similar, of going through something and feeling like you now have a story to share, something to give, experience that other people can learn from. And that is very much what I bring to the table. So we can get into that.
Yeah, I would love to. So let's talk for a second, because when you did join Empower, what class did you come through?
I don't even know. I think it was 16.
15, 16? Yeah, something like that. When you came through Empower, though, you were in an interesting transition in your life with being unemployed. And when you're unemployed, you don't necessarily have the structure or the paychecks or the stability. So even the fact that you took the leap to invest in yourself is crazy looking backwards, right? When you were in it, I'm sure it was really scary. Now I'm glad you did. But can you talk about that for a second? What was your job before? How did you become unemployed? And then how did you decide this is the time to start a business?
I was kicked off the ledge. So, and I'll kind of rewind a little bit further, because my story really does go back to a point that I think a lot of you can resonate. So if you're out there and you're listening, and I have several parts of my story. So if you are a baby entrepreneur, there's parts of my story that are going to resonate. If you're somebody who's in a 9-to-5, there's parts of my story that are going to resonate. So I'll take it back to when I was in a 9-to-5. I worked in supply chain management because that's what I studied. I went to a really fancy number 19 business school in the nation. And I thought I was going to be wearing pencil skirts my whole life, to be honest. Thought I was going to be a marketing CEO, babe. And that's what I was doing. It's what I thought I should be doing. My ego liked it, right? And I was there. And if you can picture this for a minute, I was at my supply chain job, but I did fitness on the side and I loved it. And I had this like burning desire to just do that and allow that to be my thing. But I was at my supply chain job. And if you can picture this for a minute, I remember sitting there at my desk with my hands on the keyboard and staring blankly off into our rooms and just thinking to myself, there has to be more for me in my life than this, than being in this job that I know like deep down does not serve me and I know is no longer for me. But all of those outside voices telling me, what are you going to do? Be in fitness? Are you going to make money in that? Like, there's no way you can make money. You'll work weekends, you'll work a split schedule. And all of these outside influences, and to be honest, internal influences telling me that I'm not good enough, that I don't have what it takes. And so it took a lot, but I finally made that leap, beginning of March of 2020, to move out of supply chain management and start in fitness. I was going to be a personal trainer at Facebook. It was my dream job. And in the middle of my 2 weeks notice, everything shut down. I asked for my job back in supply chain.
That.
Yeah, I asked for my job back and they were like, no, we can't hire you. Our company's going under because of the pandemic. And so I was unemployed with not even receiving unemployment income because I quit my job, right? And my new job of being a Facebook personal trainer just disappeared. I couldn't do it anymore. They didn't want to, they're like, we can't onboard you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Just everything crumbling before me, right? But I knew at that moment that I had an opportunity and I had to keep going. So I kind of started this fitness business online. I was making like $500 to like $1,000 a month. Eventually, I realized that I wanted to teach mindset. And that's something that's very new to me. So maybe you're out there and you know that this thing that you have, you've never done it before, but you know that you have the passion, you know that you have the experience, you know that you're meant to do it, but that confidence isn't there yet. Action is what builds that confidence. Jess knows, I know, ABC, action builds confidence. It's something that I learned in Empower. And so I had a decision to make. Am I going to take this very small amount of money that I have and invest it in this huge program? And Jess, I remember, because I had got a part-time job at Athleta, helping people try on clothes, right? And I remember being in the bathroom at Athleta, voice noting Jess about.
I remember that. And I was an Athleta ambassador. So I'm like, universal, it's aligned. We're meant to work together. Yeah,
totally. And so for the people out there that are thinking about investing in you're looking at your bank account from that strategic up here brain, and your dad is speaking in the back of your voice saying, well, that's not a very smart decision or whatever. I just encourage you to come back down to your body and come back down to that intuitive voice that is telling you, you are made for more.
Yeah.
You deserve more. And you know that this is your ticket. You know that this is the strategy you need. You know that this is the push. Like, can you listen to that really empowered, no pun intended, that empowered voice versus that voice that tells you, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what pushed me.
At the time you said you're making about $500 a month, right? And that's kind of when I started too. It was like $300 a month. I certainly hadn't replaced my teaching income, wasn't even close to it. What were you selling at that time to be making $500 a month?
Yeah, at that point, it was more off like personal training and group fitness online. And there was a little bit of that mindset stuff. When I started Empower, I was like dipping my toe in it, little like membership, really inexpensive programs.
Yeah. How were you selling though? Were you just like at random on social media? Did you do master classes or sales page? Like how were people finding, was it word of mouth?
I don't even know, like looking back, but that it was seriously like me being on social media in Hawaii, because I spent time in Hawaii, and I was just like, hey, does anyone want to join this thing? And like, it was working a little bit, right? Because I was bringing that energy, but the strategy wasn't there. So it was on social media, I guess.
Yeah. Do you feel like it was not sustainable or scalable the way that you were doing it?
No, it definitely wasn't. I had no idea what I was doing. So that makes sense. And by the way, I went to the 19th best business school in the nation. So it shocks my core that I hired you as a business coach, because I'm like, my ego's like, you should know this, but I don't.
Yeah. We have people that come through Empower all the time who have like MBAs, and they say the same thing. It's like, I should know this, but they're not teaching a lot of this type of stuff in business school. Maybe now they are, right? With social media marketing. It's a major now in colleges, but so interesting. Okay. So you go from kind of just like, for lack of a better term, throwing spaghetti at the wall with random offers, people paying you randomly. Did you have like a business bank account, or were you just taking money through like Venmo and stuff?
Venmo, straight up.
Yeah. Which we know is not the best way to run a business, but that's where so many people start, and it's fine. So if you do that right now, don't judge yourself. It's like, okay, cool. At least you're doing something. And so you come into Empower, and we basically take your snow globe and we shake it. And we're like, we're going to change everything that you're currently doing.
Right.
What came up for you during that? Because at that moment, a lot of people have resistance and they become uncoachable, and they want to do it their way, and their way is quote unquote working, even though it's not working. So how did you navigate now having all these coaches being like, well, we would probably have you do it differently?
Yeah. And it's really strange, because I went from one extreme to the next. Like I am, generally speaking, have been a very stubborn person in my life, and like my way is the way, and especially coming from a background of like, I should know this business stuff. So at one point at the beginning, I was very kind of like, didn't want to get the help. Right. And, I wasn't ready to hear it from somebody else. And then that is the thing though, you guys, if you are out there and you are like me, it is in your journey to learn how to get help. A lot of us have, like, I keep saying ego, for some reason it just keeps coming up, but a lot of us have this kind of identity, this persona of like the person who figures it out, the person who can get it done, the person that doesn't stop at anything. And a lot of the times, if you're anything like me, we'll push away help that really would skyrocket us.
Well, because we're so used to being the leaders. And when you're the leaders, you're in the front, right? And we're the ones that are used to serving and being in front of the classroom and pouring into other people. So then now the receiving of the help feels really unfamiliar.
Feels unsafe even.
Feels unsafe.
Like the person that I am, I'm not. It's very confusing. And so I luckily did a lot of mindset work before I got into the program to be like, you better check the ego at the door, sis. Like, are you trying to build this business or what? So I went through what I believe was like a life lesson for me of like, you need to be open to everyone's help. And even the people that were in Empower, who helped me off the calls as well. And the other coaches and the support coaches, right? Like all these people helped me really kind of embody this person that is open to help. And that was huge. So if you're out there and you're like me and like a little stubborn and think that you can do it on your own, you can. But if you'd like to do it in 1 year, 3 months instead of 10, you've come to the right spot. Right?
Yeah.
And I believe that to be true.
It's so good. What does your business look like today? How is it different? How many rounds of Unstuck have you done? Unstuck is your signature program.
Yeah, I'm in the second round right now. So I'm kind of like a baby when I only graduated, whatever, like a year ago of Empower. I love that I use the term graduated, by the way. I know that's
yes, you absolutely graduated.
So I'm in the second round of Unstuck right now, helping women get unstuck and into careers they love. And we're in week 10. And it's very cool that this is running while we're on this call. And I know now when my next round is going, and I have employees and people that help me run it. And I have support coaches. And we have a marketing thing. Yeah.
A year later. That's insane. Yeah. Like that's actually insane.
Totally. And I think that the thing is here that like when I was before Empower, I just couldn't get myself to do it, right? Like you can look at Jess's Instagram and you can say, oh yeah, okay, like she's giving me some strategy on here. Let me go do that. Was I doing it? No, right? I needed to like get with you guys in order to be like, okay. And I even remember, I don't know if you remember this, Jess, at the end of Empower, when we were like all doing our thing, I was still pulling back and I was like, yeah, well, I'm kind of like going to be on the road.
Yes. You pushed off your launch. You didn't want to launch. And I was like, oh, that's not happening. We're launching.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You and MT were like, I'm pretty sure that you can do both. And I was like, oh, I'm so scared. Right.
Yeah.
My mindset wasn't very strong at the moment. New levels, new devils, right? We've always got stuff to work on, but yeah, a year later, I now have those systems in place and have taken action because of being in Empower, surrounded by so many other people that are doing it, that I was propelled forward. I couldn't hide anymore behind like excuses. I couldn't hide anymore behind whatever. Like I had to go out there and do it because everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
And that was powerful.
That is really powerful. I remember that when you wanted to push off the launch, I think I was even in the RV and I'm like, I'm in an RV living on the road. You can do it on the road too. Like, no, this is not happening. One last question before we put a bow on things. Something that I love about you and I want to publicly edify you in front of everybody is how willing you are to continue to invest in your business, whether that is financially or with time. Yeah. Something that we do that I scream from the rooftops because I'm really proud of this. I've never seen this done anywhere is that we host monthly workshops for free for all of our alumni. And every month we do these workshops and I'm bringing it up because you have not missed one. Yeah. To all of our free monthly workshops, you show up, you're a part of it, you give and you receive. Yeah. And I just want to hear from you how helpful those have been, because I would assume if they're not helpful, you wouldn't come.
No, I wouldn't. And I come and I'll tell everyone, like, I come without knowing what they are. Like, I just show up. Like, in the last one, it was really cool. It was on podcasting and it was very serendipitous because I had been thinking about podcasting and I just showed up. And one thing I love about working with you guys is that you over deliver and you continue to over deliver and you continue to serve. And I love coming to these things. And I was voice noting somebody yesterday who's going to join Empower. And I was talking about the community that she's going to have, not only for the next 3 months, but like for eternity. Like people constantly, like I'll connect with somebody on Instagram. I'm like, yo, do you do Empower? Because we know all the same people. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was in a continued training with you, one of the monthly workshops. And all of that to say these continued trainings and education just allow you to stay in the room with the energy and get the training, right? I think that what you do is pivotal because it's strategy and it's like the energy, the momentum, the action that is needed, which a lot of us are really afraid to take on our own. And that makes so much sense. And if that's you, I see you. Come on. So yeah. It's so beautiful to be a part of those. I'm really grateful.
I love it. I love you so much. What would you say to someone who's on the fence? What would you say to yourself back in the day to make the decision faster? Because you made it pretty fast anyway. I'm going to let our next guest in while you drop some bombs here, but just let's put a bow on it before you tell everyone where they could find you and work with you.
Absolutely. I think that what I always like to do with myself is get clear on the two voices that are speaking. Because one of those voices is your future self, is if you're spiritual and you like to talk this way, your higher self or like God coming through you, whatever it is. One of those voices is very empowered and says, you got this. This voice says you're worth more. This voice says you can make something, you can build something, you can do this. Very empowered, right? And the other voice is our fear-based voice based on our conditioning and our past stuff. I was about to curse there. Our stuff, right? And it says, I don't know. What will your dad think? What if you fail? And that voice will now and always stop you from your greatness if you let it. And so at some points in your life, you have to bet on yourself in order to grow into the person that you are meant to be. And it doesn't matter what's on the other side. It matters being in the room and doing the thing that your heart is currently calling towards. It does not matter what comes out of it. So don't focus on that. Focus on the next step.
Oh my.
Come on. All three of you are going to make me cry. This was not the Watch Jess Cry show. Hannah Carroll, I love you so much. Where can people find you and learn more about you and work with you?
Yeah, very easy. You can find me on Instagram. I am at Best Life by Hannah, like living your best life, honey. And I'm Hannah with 1 H. So it's Hanna, Best Life by Hannah. I'll see you on there. Send me a DM. Say what's up.
I love you.
Love you too. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, last but certainly not least, this is a surreal moment. I haven't gotten to see this guy on camera live on a Zoom in years, I feel. I don't even know. Soji, it has been a long time, dude. I'm so stoked to have you here. So we went from midlife expert. We had someone on in her 50s who teaches women how to navigate through midlife. She's got 3 kids, teenagers, the whole thing. Then we have Hannah come in. She's this little firecracker who's this mindset and career coach who was completely unemployed when she joined Empower, no job, no paycheck. And then we've got Soji, one of the OGs. I don't even know what class you graduated from, because I think back in the day, I didn't give you class numbers, but my guess would be like class 6 of 18, something like that. Like, you are literally such an OG in Empower. One of the things that I'm really excited to talk about today, of course, is your story. I'm thrilled to bring your energy to the room because your energy is next level. But it's been so cool to watch you continue to grow your business and scale your business year after year after year. People often wonder, like, what happens after Empower? And you're a story of what happens after Empower. And it's not that you built this 9-figure company and you're flying private jets, but you actually had your first baby while in Empower. And then you had your second baby after Empower. And so here you are now, a completely different person than you were when you came through Empower. So I'm stoked for you to just pour back into everybody. And hopefully you can share parts of your story, because where you came from is relatable to a lot of people. So Soji James, my dude, welcome.
I appreciate you so much. First off, Jess, I miss you. I'm giving you virtual hugs and kisses over here. You're my girl. You already know the vibes. And I learned so much from you being in your program. You changed my life. You know, I'm a dude, man. I'm from the projects in the Bronx, and you know, I grew up in an area where there wasn't a lot of opportunity, man. At least a lot of people who came from there didn't think there was. You know, and I kind of felt different. I felt different, but you know, like, my grind was, you got to constantly work harder. So you know, at that point when I met Jess, I was a trainer in the city. So I'd actually moved up to Beacon at this point. I was married, just had my first kid, and I was still getting up at 4 a.m. You know, I was jumping on a train, coming down to the city, and I wasn't home until 8 p.m. And I love to help people. I love to transform lives. But I said to myself, I want to see, like, that kid who was back home. You know, like, my parents divorced when I was 12, and they didn't come to a lot of games. You know, my mom was working 2 jobs. My dad was working 3 jobs. And it's something that, growing older, and just even now, it's something I'm continuing to work through. And I said to myself at that time, I want to be a different dad. I want to be a different individual who's not just here and available for everyone else who I'm working with. I want to be a present guy who can be an active member of my kids' lives. You know what I mean? I said there has to be a way to do both. And, you know, I heard Jess, and her energy was just infectious, and just her ability to just kind of dangle this carrot of hope that there's a different way to look at things. There's a different way to put yourself out there. And you have these special gifts. You have a special story. Just get out and spread it, because it's going to resonate with some people. So I help burnt out dieters basically lose fat and find more confidence by ditching quick fixes for a new relationship with food and fitness. So I help them kind of break through those old storylines and get off that cycle of, you know, trying these diets that are basically setting them up to fail from the beginning, and just find a new hope and create a process that they love and enjoy while empowering and just creating a new life for themselves. And when I went to the program with Jess, like, I was just doing all these one-on-one sessions. I was, you know, running back and forth. I was a strength coach at a high school. And by the end of my day, like, I didn't have energy. Like, I was making solid money, but I came home and I was like a shell of a human being. So
you used to take coaching calls from your phone on the track.
Well,
I remember you sitting on the track on coaching calls.
Like, in between, like, ducking, I'm sweating and trying to act like, you know, like I'm super calm, and I'm trying to spread this good energy. But it was just like a hectic too fast way of living, right? Like I felt like, I was enjoying myself. I was helping a lot of people, but I was like, there has to be a better way to do this in a more sustainable way, in a way that will grow my impact and allow me to, dissipate my energy a little bit more in a safe way for myself. Like, I don't want to burn out. Like, and this is something I want to be able to impact and change people's lives for years to come. So I had to find a different way. And I went through Empower, and I basically came up with the first level of the concept of my Elevate You course, where it's a 12-week course where I'm teaching food skills. I'm teaching people how to unlock their savagery by training like an athlete. And mindset wise, I'm just kind of helping them get clear on how they want to feel in their process and just break through those old storylines, right? Like that old elephant holding them back. Like we just saw a story the other day about elephants, and when they get big and there's a wooden stake and they can't break out of. It was a cool little point being, like, our old storylines just really hold us back, and maybe they served us at a past time in our lives. But a lot of times people don't understand that you can formulate new beliefs and values and push forward. So I was able to encapsulate this in that course. And like now, kind of there's obviously been different iterations of that, but and especially going into the pandemic, I'm thinking about this. So leaving there in 2019, pandemic, everything in the fitness industry shut down, right? Mm-hmm. But honestly, a big part of going through your course, I felt the most prepared in my life to tackle that. Like, I turned, and it was a difficult time for everybody, like in different ways, but I was able to kind of turn my business straight virtual and just doing these coaching, like the one-on-one coaching, my group course, and make 6 figures from home. Like, bought my first house right after that. Still have been making 6 figures since that process. And like now I'm in another period of growth where I now do want to I want to expand it and chase more, but I'm chasing from a place of like, this is fun. Like, let's go get it. You know what I mean? It's not like a place of, I need this, right? It's a different mindset that I really left that course having, that stuck with me. And every time I get a chance to connect with you, I'm like, I want to come and talk to my girl, because I genuinely love you. Love you.
I love you so much.
Love
so
you.
much. It's crazy. Yeah, you came through Empower in 2019, 2019, right? Or 2018.
Probably like yeah, exactly.
End of 2018, 2019. That's right. It was spring of 2019 when you came through. So this is like a year before pandemic, a year before all the fitness industry shuts down. We were both living in New York City at the time. And it's so interesting to hear you say, like, you were well set up. Unfortunately, what happened, right? But you were well set up, where so many trainers at the time, hair salon owners, like everybody was scrambling to figure out how to get online. And you already had that foundation, and you were just kind of at that point pouring gasoline on the fire. Here's the thing though, you joined Empower. You're working full-time as a trainer in the city, which I did too. We did split shifts. You're up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You're with clients until lunchtime. Then you have to squeeze your own workout in, get your computer work done, maybe take a nap, maybe eat some food. Now you're back with clients again at night. Plus you're coaching for high school, and first baby's on the way. I actually think we went through your wedding time. Yeah. You literally got married in Empower, then had the first baby. Mm-hmm. At what point did you decide, this is a really good time for me? I'm not busy or anything. Let me go start a business.
Honestly, for me, it was just like, I have this family, I have this vision. Like, for me personally, I love, I want to be someone who could show my kids, like, I'm a dude of impact. I'm a guy who's out here changing lives. But I was like, I really want to be able to have both. And there shouldn't be a reason why I have to choose between the two of those, right?
Yeah.
And this really just opened up the possibility for me to actually through the first iteration of this, my wife she went back to work, and I was actually watching my first son like 2 days a week, full time, kind of doing this and training the other 3 days and kind of figuring it out. But this opened up the possibility for me to just be able to manifest that and have that happen.
Do you think it's a level of tough love? Because so many people, I'm even in the DMs now, and we're doing calls, and people are like, oh, but I'm busy. I have a full-time job and I'm afraid I can't make the calls. Is it just kind of a suck it up, buttercup, get on calls while you're we've had so many clients, Shannon Weinstein, right? The CPA, we always talk about how she used to hide in the stairwell at her 9-to-5 job to get on calls. And I know when I hired my first coach in 2014, I was a teacher at the time, and I would go out into my car in the parking lot, and I would sit in my car and I'd listen to calls. And here you are on the track, walking around listening to calls. Do you think it's an element of just you got to get out of your own way? Nothing changes if nothing changes. And if it's important to you, you'll make time.
I 100% agree with that. And I just think at certain points, we could stay it gets very easy to sit in, I don't want to call it misery, but we're in these difficult situations that we are very comfortable with at times. And we see that golden carrot like dangling out in front of us, but it's so comfortable to be in this running from person to person because it's what I knew, right?
Yeah.
So it's very scary. And I got to the point of like, I can only talk about it and dream about it for so much. I have to try to do something different in order to get something different.
Yeah.
Right? I really had to put myself out there and just try to stretch my vessel and get uncomfortable in a different way.
Yeah. And during DBE Live on day 3, we talk about the story of the dog sitting on the nail. And it's like, why doesn't the dog get up? He's moaning every day. He's in pain. It's like, because the pain isn't bad enough, right? Like, it's not that bad. I'll just stay on the nail. And for you, that was the getting up at 4 a.m., getting home at 8 p.m. Like I said, I lived that same life. So you and I both were in an industry that is wildly saturated, which we were just talking about with Hannah. And so as a fitness professional, especially through pandemic, when the whole entire fitness industry moved online, my question is not how did you navigate the saturation, but how do you still today differentiate yourself? Like, how do you put a twist on things so that people would come to you over another coach?
I lean into my story. Like my thing is, I'm not trying to get everybody, you know what I mean? Like if you're someone who still wants to be on the wheel of the diets, like I'm maybe not the person for you right now. I want people who like my vision of how I want to like live my life and the energy I want to circulate around me. Like that's what I want to help people cultivate. And I'm kind of pretty transparent about that. Like, you know, I share about my struggles growing up. I share about where I come from. I share about like my journeys with dieting and maybe growing up not having the best body image about myself and finding the weight room and just finding this different level of confidence that carried with me everywhere I went. And I just kind of talk a lot of passionately about how I want to kind of share and spread this and just kind of also sharing stories of people I've been able to impact and similar kind of transformations and journeys that they've gone through. And I kind of just set aside, like you told me a lot about just not trying to, I don't need to be for everybody. And I think really another big thing with your course was helping me find the confidence to understand that that's okay. You know what I mean? And like finding my tribe and speaking my story and just being genuine and coming from my heart with how I want to change and impact people is how I'm going to attract people. I don't need everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. I love your approach in your business with food and nutrition, and just in life with mindset too, of controlling the controllables, and something that you share. I think it's okay for me to share how you had grown up.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, growing up in public housing and being kind of bopped around and stuff, there were so many times I'm sure you didn't have full control of your environment, who was around you, where were you sleeping, what did that look like, what was the environment, and then like what's the food that you're eating. And so it feels really natural that you would have had a shaky road with things like maybe body positivity or just knowing like what is yours and what is not, right? Just making that discernment. And so something that I love that you do in business is this kind of like black or white, just like control the controllables. And watching you show up in your business that way, in your life that way, your marriage, as a father, the way that you teach people about food, the way that you teach people about fitness, it's so simple, but why is it so hard? Like they say it's simple, not easy, right? Like, why is it so hard for us to actually control the controllables?
I think too, like if going back to even the square one, you know, growing up in the projects in general, you know, I was surrounded by environment. I saw a lot of things, been, you know, ducking shootouts, like crazy situations, like seeing people get shot. For me, a lot of times I feel like people who come from where I come from and who look like how I look, the story is already kind of pre-written for them. You know, a lot of people try to say, what if I'm from here, this is what I'm capable of getting out into the world and doing, this is what you can accomplish. And from an early age, my mom kind of tried to like instill the whole concept of being able to take the pen and kind of rechange this narrative and write your own story. And for me, when we talk about control the controllables, all I could do is there's so much out of our controls, but if I can go and grab onto a couple small actions that make me feel better in the moment, that maybe move me a little bit closer towards the goals I'm going towards, it generally has changed my life kind of with that mindset. I think a lot of times it goes back to that nail of, you know, dog sitting on the nail and just being like not feeling or feeling like you're it doesn't hurt hard enough to get you to get up off that porch and do something different. But it has to come to a point where you're just saying to yourself, like, it's game time.
Yeah.
It's game time. We have to kind of light that fire and just find that sense of urgency. Like for me, it was also kind of coming back home and just kind of looking at my kid and just remembering how I felt, you know, when I had a sporting event and my dad didn't show up. And I saw everybody, like I remember graduating from college and having my senior night. And I had my coaches walk me up in front of like 5,000 people, and everybody else had their parent. Well, my parents were working. So for me, like I encapsulate that feeling, and it's what drives me when I get out of bed in the morning, to be honest. Like I want to provide us a different level of just contact and just being present, but also showing them what they're capable of and how they can write their own story and how they move forward.
So good. How has your business evolved today? What does it look like now? Because I mean, you went through Empower a really long time ago. So what has shifted? I know we're in a scaling phase now, which I'm really excited about. Do you still have some of the same offers? Have you added to your product suite? Do you do any one-on-ones? Do you do in-person stuff at all anymore?
Honestly, I don't do any in-person stuff. I may do like one-off stuff because I do miss like some in-person connections. So I'll collaborate with some companies, pop down into the city and maybe like lead a meditation on a rooftop or help lead a workout. But for the most part, like, you know, I do one-on-ones, but in the past, I used to just kind of go by, all right, this is this hourly rate that I need to do. Now, you taught me big time just about being like, how much do I want to make? This is what my time is worth. Like, this is a monthly retainer that you're going to pay. Like, so I've switched up in that aspect. And I have my group coaching course, 12 weeks. That's another, and basically it's those two arms for me, right?
Yeah.
Like I just also recently got certified as a meditation coach, and I'm doing some other stuff with kettlebells. And I want to kind of try to revamp my offers even more and just kind of continue to help people unlock their savagery, like through that tool, but also, you know, in addition to helping them change their eating skills and like dietary habits, but also kind of find inner peace. So I'm just trying to continue to just kind of grow, and I'm in a state of like fun creation with that, like nailing down what this difference is going to look like. But it's exciting to be able to create from a place of abundance than scarcity. So
yeah, it's so exciting. What round are you on of Elevate You?
I'm going to be on round 7 now for me.
Oh, so crazy.
Sometimes my little ones, you know, I've also said like, all right, like, am I in the perfect place to show up as the best version of myself? So sometimes I've had a little bit longer gaps in between, you know, kind of going and throwing the course, but it's what felt right to me. And once again, like being able to make the decision from a place of like, I don't need this, like, you know, like not like in terms of financially, right? Like I love it in a soul, but being able to make that decision from that place is very liberating.
That's so cool. I love that so much. What would you say, we're putting a bow on things, what would you say to someone who's unsure, on the fence, thinking that they're too busy, it's not the right time, or just even your past self, you know, what would you say to him?
There's always going to be an excuse that you can find to justify staying the same, you know? And if I was talking to my past self, I would say, take that risk. Your life is going to look so much more different if you just take that step. If you take the first step, you take that first blind step of faith, and you step into, like, before I try to do everything on my own, like I was like, I grab this information offline. I'd like, you know, try to go around with accountability. I'd be dancing. I'd be the guy who would talk a big game and just wouldn't show up for myself consistently.
Yeah.
Stepping into a group of individuals who have already like vetted this process and done it over and over and over and over again, helped me streamline my process, helped me find, like, literally help my soul crawl up from under the rock that it was under and just like really shine its light. So I would say, take the risk, take the chance on yourself. Like, you know, there's never like, I also changed just even the way I just look at money and all that stuff. Investing in yourself is the biggest thing that you can do. Like, it changed my life it bought me more freedom. It bought me more time with my children. Like, it bought me more escapes and opportunities. It bought me more space, like literally. So invest in yourself. It's worth it.
I love it. Isn't that crazy how one type of investing in yourself could yield so much like other abundance and ROI in so many other areas? Everybody's so focused. And I understand, especially because Empower, it's a big investment, right? People are so focused on, am I going to make this amount of money back in 12 weeks? And I'm like, you're missing the big picture. You're missing the big picture. It's not, number one, it's not about the money. Number two, it's not about the 12 weeks, but it's like, look at Soji. You've now had a 6-figure business for multiple years in a row consistently, and more space to be at home with your family, with your wife, with your kids. Like
I'm off the rest of the day. Like, and it's just creation time. Like in the past, like I'm running from gym to gym to gym to this to that. And like now it's really a space of, I'm going to go wake my kid up, hold him, feed him, and like chill with my family when they come home. Right. So
I love it.
It's different, but it's all been worth it. So.
Oh man, I love you so much. Where can people find you? How can they work with you? How can they follow you?
You can find me on Instagram at soji.james1. That's SOJI.James1. Also on TikTok at the same name. And I would love to see you. Any questions about your experience or what I went through, please feel free to reach out. I always love to connect with amazing individuals such as yourself. Love
Thank
you
so much. I love you. I can't wait to see you in person and give you a hug one of these days.
Mike, I love you too. I love you.
Oh, Mike, he loves you. He's over here in his desk with his headphones on.
The best. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you. Say hi to the fam. All right, my friends. So there you have it. Just an hour of me crying, no big deal. The reason that we share some of these stories is not even to talk about Empower. It's really to show you what is possible. It's to show you the types of people that come through the program. It's to show you where they were before, what they've been through, the amount of stories that we have. Every time we run DBE Live, we bring 3 alumni in. We've had people come in that are homeless, literally homeless. We've had people come in that already had booming businesses. We've had influencers that had 500,000 followers and were making $0. We've had people from all over the world, all over different continents, different countries, different ages, different business models, dog trainers and real estate agents and everything in between. So we bring these people in to share their stories so that hopefully you can see yourself in them, because honestly, we all get stuck when we're making when we're taking that path, when we're making that choice. We all get stuck in the indecision of, but is this for me? And I'm different, and what I do is different, and my unique skill set is different. And while that is true, Empower can truly help so many people. So please follow all of those wonderful people that we shared today: Sophia Cleverly, Hannah Carroll, and Soji James. They're amazing humans to watch and just to follow and to learn from. If you're ever interested in working with one of them, by all means, you have got my third-party stamp of approval that they are all the real deal. So if you're looking for help in any of their areas, and I'm going to put a bow on today with saying, book your call if you need to, shoot us a DM if you want to, make sure that you know about our additional payment option. We're really excited to roll that out. It's something that we're super grateful that we were able to partner with the third-party company to offer something like this for those of you who just still were struggling a little bit with the investment in the capacity at which we have. So now there are 4 different options. All right. I want to make sure you get to all your questions answered. Keep going through the replays. They do expire tomorrow. And just from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you all so much for being so active in this Facebook group, for posting your takeaways, for cheering each other on, and for celebrating all of each other, all of you, whether you're joining Empower or you're not. I see all the love going down in the group, and it means the world to me. So thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. Because that's just what we do now. We hang out every day at 3 p.m. Eastern. So I'll see you tomorrow on the Facebook group. Have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, I invite you to be a part of our ripple effect and share it with a friend. And please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I'll be forever grateful. Until next time, cheers to your evolution.